I'm back again with another video and today I want to talk about an idea that crossed my mind a couple of days ago, and I figured why not have that beautiful conversation with you and tell you about it. It is concerning a mistake that I used to make while whenever I speak, and I noticed it wasn't an obvious mistake. It's not as conspicuous as certain mistakes. There are mistakes that when you make in English, it can fly. People are not as mad as people are just not as mad, and you can't continue with your sentence. But there are other mistakes that when you make, obviously everyone takes note. So this is not, I don't know, to my mind, I don't think it's such a big mistake that people would turn an eye, at least people in Nigeria anyway. But when I would speak with my correspondents in English language, I make certain sentences and then they correct me. And then I also, when I write and I send to ChatGPT will correct me, and it kept on correcting the same mistake over and over again until I noticed a pattern, as well as my correspondents in English language. In English, when I make those mistakes, they correct me, and at some point your brain will just see the pattern, and I told myself, oh, so this is the issue. Alright, so it's about how to properly use would in English. I didn't know how to properly use would in English. Then I would use will instead of would, even when I'm talking about hypotheticals. When I talk, something like, I'm going to give you an example, a wrong example. If I wanted your shoes and I had the money. If I wanted your kind of shoes and I had the money, I will get it. You see, I will get it. But it's not will. That is wrong. And it's not will, like I said, that is wrong. It should be would. So that was the mistake I used to make, and it forced me to go online and read about would, how to properly use it and how to properly employ it in sentences, and that was exactly what I did, and it has helped me. It has helped me a while. So thanks to my correspondents, those who helped me to pick up on this mistake, and obviously thanks to ChatGPT for always correcting my sentences. Man, I wonder how far I would have gotten in English language if not for ChatGPT. This is me sincerely speaking. So it has really been a guide, a close guide. It has really been my close guide. So I went online and I researched and I read a bit about it, but I mostly watched videos because I love those visual cues and how they simplify things and how the tutor, most of them are at ease and you have this beautiful interaction with them. And yeah, I've always known this, especially when I was learning French, about the English conditioners. I learned about the English conditioners and also a bit of the subjunctive. So I went online and I read those things. The subjunctive is not as conspicuous in English language as it is in French language. In English language, you can make do without the subjunctive tense, and people will not strangle you in public when you make that mistake. As a matter of fact, even here, there are certain sentences when you make and you employ the subjunctive tense, people will even frown and look at you like, what is that? Especially in Nigeria, because they assume that this thing is not correct. How are you saying something like this, something that is so odd, that it shouldn't be, that is not correct? Certain people in Nigeria anyway, not everybody. But so yeah, I'm drifting a while. I'm sorry, I'm back. So when I went and I read about English conditioners first, and that was where I started consolidating my knowledge about how to properly employ would in sentences. And I noted how you use it with the second and third English conditioners. For the second English conditioners, where you express hypotheticals, when the second English conditioners where you talk about hypothetical cases and you talk about unreal things, unreal situations, you use would. So I'm going to give you an example. Obviously, I will give you the example and I give you something I would say in the past. So again, the standard example that everybody is used to If I were in your shoes, I would act differently. You see, if I were, this is an unreal situation. There's never a time I'm going to be you, my viewer. Okay, but if I were you, I would like this video. All right, so that aside, if I were in your shoes, if I were in your shoes, I would act differently. Okay, but I'm not in your shoes, so I'm not acting differently. So if I were, where, you always pair where. Where is the past tense of the verb to be, but it is typically used when you are expressing hypothetical. You use it with the first person singular. If I were, you use it with the first person singular when you are expressing hypotheticals, but also when you are expressing real scenarios, real events, you use it with the second, they were there. I've forgotten what it is called in English. Well, that's that. So yeah, if the standard example, I hope you are still following, my viewer. The standard example is, if I were there, I would act differently. If I had the money and I were around, I would buy that magnificent television. Okay, so this is the correct way of saying it. But then I would say something along the line of, if I had the money and if I had the money and I were around, I will buy that magnificent television. So I that was the mistake I noticed I used to make. I confuse, I misuse will. So I learned that, and even these days I still don't know how to, sometimes force of habit, or because I have not really used it enough in sentences, I have not really practiced enough in sentences, or subjumed myself enough sufficiently in the language. I still misuse would at times. I don't know, I might even have misused it or not used it properly in this video that I'm making. So that's that. I learned about the English content, and this mistake occurs when I'm making complex sentences, in compound sentences. Okay, something like if I'm going to give you another example, when the verbs in my sentences are in the past, and that sentence in particular is a compound sentence, I lose my sense of concord. Sometimes my noun will not match with the verb, with the correct verb form, and it is messy. Okay, but that is aside. That is another topic. Okay, the one that I want to focus on is the idea that when the verbs in my sentences are in the past, I lose myself in the sentence, and when I'm coming out of that sentence, when I should use would, I would use will, like I've given you in some of these examples. Okay, so yeah, and then I also read about the third English conditional, which is a bit straightforward. I don't think people misuse this one often. So if I wanted to use it to express regrets, if I had read properly for this exam, I would have passed. If I were in your shoes, if I had the best of teachers and they were invested in training me adequately, and they were invested in training me properly and gave me the resources that I needed, I would have done very well. I would have done excellently in this exam. So you see, if you look at this sentence that I just made, it is a bit, if I had the best of teachers and if they had given me the best of resources and if they had trained me adequately, once if you notice the verb forms are in the past, if I keep going and making that sentence as complex as possible, when I'm coming out of that sentence, I typically would use will instead of would, or I would mess up towards the end. So yeah, so basically what I tell myself is, whenever I'm expressing something in the past, I have made it a rule to just remember past would. So any verb that once my verbs are noun and they, especially when it is starting with if, that means you are expressing something hypothetical. So when these verbs are in the past, when I'm making sentences and the verbs are in the past, I always pair it with would. It's a safer alternative for me. It's unless when there are certain, I don't know if this works a lot of it, or it shouldn't work a lot all the time, okay, but there are certain, as an English speaker, there are certain cases where you would truly want to use it and it will sound bizarre, and you know that this thing doesn't work here. Otherwise, in most cases, if you go with that idea of past would, you wouldn't have any, and it mustn't be one past. Okay, it could be past would. If I were, where is past would. If I were there, I would add differently. It could be two past. If they wanted one past and they had the money, two past, they would have gotten it. Okay, so yeah, so it can also be three past, it can be four past, it can be past would, so it doesn't really matter. But that's something that I have been doing that has helped me. So just past would. Okay, it has helped me it has helped me tremendously to navigate that mistake that I typically would make in English language. Then another one that I had known, I've always known, but since I was also consolidating how to properly use would in English, I touched it, and that's when you use would with a habit that you indulge yourself from time to time, or you typically in the past indulge yourself in from time to time. You can use would there, or the way I put it then was, if you could use what's that term? Used to. Okay, in the past there are slight differences. In the past I used to play in that compound, or when I was a kid I used to play in that compound with my friends. Okay, yeah, when I was a kid I would play in that compound with my friends, so if you, to a degree, I feel you could replace. There will always be slight differences, slight nuances, but you can't replace used to with would. There was a time I would go there and I would feel relaxed, but it's no longer the case these days. There used to be a time when I would go there and I used to go there. I used to go there and feel relaxed, but it's no longer the case. So that's basically it. Whether this video made sense, honestly, I hope it does. I hope it made sense. I hope you understood my train of thoughts. And thank you for watching, and have a beautiful Christmas. I wasn't supposed to make a video. I wasn't planning on. I didn't intend to make a video when I got home because of, like I said, because of what I like, the activities that is going on, the activities that are going on left and right around me. But for the spirit of consistency, this is me trying to do something and just be consistent. I missed a week, but it's all good. So thank you for watching, and thank you for staying tuned, and have a blissful holiday and have a prosperous new year, amigo.